Asian American going through a midlife crisis. Perfect car. Compensate for me. Perfect car. There's only a problem here. One problem. I have 4 children. 6, 10, 16, and 18. 18-year-old has a license. 16-year-old has a permit. And I know that no matter how carefully I plan, there will be an instance where they're going to drop me at the airport. We're going to drop off a car for repair. We're going to do something where they will have to drive my Mustang. The thought of a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old driving a 550 horsepower or 650 horsepower car is morally corrupt. However, Ford has a great, intelligent product called the My Key. And what the My Key enables you to do is to control 2 very important variables of the car. First, how loud the steering can be played. Second, the top speed of the car. So I could program 55 miles per hour into the key. I would not be able to go faster than 55 miles per hour. Now, the My Key does not control how long it takes to get to 55. It controls the top speed of 55. Great products are also complete, meaning the totality of the solution. This is something you should all understand and embrace. It's no longer just the software. It's the software and the documentation and the online support and the installation. It's all the service. It's the conferences. It's the webinar. It's the totality of the product that makes it great. Great products are also empowering. They make you feel more powerful, more creative, more productive. They don't fight you. They make you feel better. And finally, great products are elegant. They're beautiful. They're thin. Somebody cared about the user interface. So, the 3 pillars of enchantment are likability, trustworthiness, and quality. Something that's dicey, deep, intelligent, complete, empowering, and elegant. Step 4 is to launch this product or service. You do this launch. Step 1 is to tell a story. Telling a story means that you don't stand up on stage like this and talk about your patent-pending, curve-jumping, paradigm-shifting, enterprise, quality, carrier, class, product, or service. You tell a story about how your wife collects Pez dispensers and she wanted to sell them online and there was no way for her to do it, so you started eBay. Total bullshit story, but what a great story. How you and your buddy wanted to use a computer, the only place you could use it was going back to the office at HP, or going to a library, or going to a government agency or a large bank, and you thought, surely there must be a better way, so you started Apple. Tell a great story. Not the patent-pending, curve-jumping, paradigm-shifting stuff that most technologists use. Tell a story, a personal story about why you're doing what you're doing. Second thing is, you need to plant many seeds when you launch things. You know, marketing 1.0 was very hierarchical. You sucked up to the right A-listers and bloggers and journalists at the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Fortune, Forbes, Wired, CNN. You sucked up to them. You hoped they liked your product. They blessed you. And then they made your product or service. That was marketing 1.0. Marketing 2.0 is a much flatter world. Marketing 2.0 means that Lonely Boy 15 may make your product hit. Lonely Boy 15 who doesn't work for the Wall Street Journal, his name is not Paul Bosper. Lonely Boy 15 with 15 followers helps you tip. The problem with Lonely Boy 15 is it's easy to find Paul Bosper or David Pope. How do you find Lonely Boy 15? And to a great degree, Lonely Boy 15 has to find you. And so how do you help him find you? You have to plant many seeds. It means that you put a lot of product out there. It means that you make it very easy to try your product, to test drive your product. You know, one of the great stories of Lonely Boy 15 is Twitter. Twitter is about 6 years old. Find me a story written by any of the A-listers that's 6 years old that said, I see the future of communications. It's this thing called Twitter. 140 character messages. Right now people are tweeting that their cat rolled over, or the line at Starbucks is long. But mark my words, someday it will bring down totalitarian governments. Show me a story 6 years old that predicted the success of Twitter. I don't think so. Frankly, nobody's other than somebody's. And the nobodies of South by Southwest 6 years ago embraced Twitter to find out where the best parties and panels were at South by Southwest. So all these lonely boy 15s made Twitter tick. If you believe this theory, you have to plant many seeds. I'm not saying you should ignore the New York Times, Fortune, Forbes, CNN, CNN, but you should not focus solely on those publications. Next thing is to use salient points. The world of marketing would be much better if people and companies use the stuff on the right-hand side of the screen. Most of the time we use stuff on the left-hand side of the screen. For example, when you walk into a market and you pick up a bag of chips, it says 500 calories per serving, 2.5 servings in this bag. Imagine how much better the world would be if the bag said, if you eat this bag, you will have to run 10 miles. That's a much more salient point. Calories versus how long you have to exercise. In the not-for-profit world, everybody thinks in terms of dollars. But as a donor, what do you really care about? It's not the dollar amount. I want to know if I give you $50, that it will feed a family in Guatemala for 6 months. I want to know how many months of food does my money buy? And the last example is gadgets. In gadgets, who among us gets up in the morning saying, if only I had 32 gigabytes? You know, people wake up in the morning saying, I want to have 10,000 songs, 1,000 movies. I want an app for that. So in your marketing, as you launch things, try to use the salient points. What are people really caring about? How long I have to exercise? How many months of food will my donation buy? Or the number of songs my device can hold? Not calories, dollars, gigabytes. Step 5 is to overcome resistance to your enchantment. This is a great example. This is a toy repositioned as a game. Excuse me, I said that completely opposite. Blame the surgery. This is a game repositioned as a toy by Nintendo. In the mid-80s, believe it or not, gaming was a tarnished business, so much so that retailers did not want to stock games anymore. So Nintendo, figuring this out, added a robot to its game and called it a toy. In fact, they took it to the next level. They called it an educational toy. So it got kids to ask their parents for an educational toy to learn robotics for Christmas. Overcoming resistance to stocking more games. One way to overcome resistance is to provide social proof. To show people that other people are using your product or your service. This is the like button. This is the +1 button. With iPod, it is the white earbud. When iPod first came out, it was obvious who was wearing an iPod, who was using an iPod. It's the person with the white earbud. You saw white earbuds, you figured that equals iPod. If you saw an Apple phone, you got convinced to buy an iPod. You added to the pool of iPods and white earbuds. And the more people saw white earbuds, the more people bought iPods, the more people bought iPods, the more white earbuds there was more and more social proof, and it reached critical mass. I don't know if Apple did this on purpose, I was not there at the time, but I think the white earbud was a crucial product design and marketing decision for Apple because it provided social proof. The next way to overcome resistance is to use a data set to overcome resistance. So, this is a chart. This is a company called, an organization called Gapminder, G-A-P-M-I-N-D-E-R, that I suggest if you are intrigued by this example, you should go to their site. They have lots of great examples. So let me explain this graph. On the vertical axis is the life expectancy of people in years for each country. On the horizontal axis is the number of children a woman has in that country on average. So, I think to this day there is a mindset that other than the United States and maybe Western Europe, most parts of the world, people have short lives with many kids. There might be a causative relationship there. So we all think, oh yeah,
We in America, we in Western Europe, we have long lives, small families. Watch what happens when you animate the data from 1950. So what you see here is that the whole world is going into the upper left corner. In the upper left corner, that's where life is long and kids are few. And by 2009, basically the whole world is there, except for the navy blue dots. The navy blue dots, Africa. So even though many people to this day believe that other than where we live, the United States or Western Europe, everybody has big families and they live short lives. It is simply not true. Most of the world is now long lives, small families also, except for Africa. If you look at the Gapminder site, you see example after example of how you can use data sets like this with animation to change mindsets. It is an excellent way to break down resistance to your idea. The last thing about breaking down resistance is to be sure to enchant all the influencers who are involved. Many people think that the key to enchanting people and influencing the decision is the father. They would be wrong roughly 80% of the time. Truly, it's the mother. Sometimes it's the sister-in-law. Sometimes it's the grandfather. In my particular case, it's the daughter. If you want to influence me, influence my daughter. I will do anything to make my daughter happy. Anything. Now, I want you to suspend your disbelief for a second and answer these questions honestly. First of all, how many of you have a daughter? Okay. How many of you have taken your daughter to see or have rented or bought the movie Never Say Never, the Justin Bieber movie? How many of you have seen it? Okay, 3 of you. The rest of you do not love your daughters. I want you to suspend your disbelief and trust me and rent or buy. It's on iTunes now. Never Say Never. Because that is the best movie ever made about social media and marketing. You will see how Justin Bieber's mother made him successful using YouTube. Not $250 million of promotion, YouTube. You will see a great example of mentor-mentee relationship between Justin Bieber and his vocal coach. And finally, the holy grail of marketing is word of mouth, viral marketing, right? Watch what happens when Justin Bieber's people go into the parking lots of concerts and finds girls who do not have tickets and gives those girls tickets. The pure joy those tickets bring those girls, the kind of word-of-mouth advertising it generates, is just stunning. It's the best movie ever made about social media and marketing. I will give you your money back if you read or buy that movie and you don't learn something about social media and marketing. Trust your keynote speaker. Go see Never Say Never. Now, I'm going to make this amazing transition from Never Say Never and Justin Bieber to the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead has endured for decades. One of the reasons why it has endured is because at its concerts, it sets up an area for tapers. Not that anybody uses tape anymore. The area for tapers is where the Grateful Dead enables people to pirate the concert, essentially. To record the concert and then take that recording home and spread it out. Unlike the rest of the RIA, which is suing little old ladies for downloading cello music, the Grateful Dead wants people to record the concert and spread the music. That has helped the Grateful Dead endure. More ways to endure. Build an ecosystem. What a great example. I'm sorry, one slide behind. Build an ecosystem. Was I one slide behind all the time? Why don't you guys tell me? You know what's funny? You don't see this, but there's 4 monitors, obviously, and one shows. Oh, that's why there's a tape that says next. Duh. So now, okay, so now you want me to back up and start all over? Build an ecosystem. This is an example of an ecosystem. The ecosystem of the Parallels community. It is not just the software. It's the consultants, it's the bars, it's the people who add value or resell, and user groups. It's the totality of the picture. You want to endure, build an ecosystem. The next thing to do, make sure I look at my slide every once in a while, is to invoke reciprocation. This is the work of Bob Cialdini. Great, great work. Social psychologist out of Arizona. First, this carpet depicts the war between Italy and Ethiopia. Believe it or not, Italy invaded Ethiopia in the 1930s. When Ethiopia was invaded, the people of Mexico collected money and sent money to their friends in Ethiopia to help Ethiopia defend itself against Italy. 85 years later, there was a big earthquake in Mexico, and the people of Ethiopia, even though they were in the middle of a famine, collected money and sent money to the people of Mexico. Similar thing happened with the Civil War. After the Civil War, the people of New York bought the people of Charleston a fire truck. Actually, two, because the first one was on a ship that sank. And so the people of Charleston at that time vowed that someday they would help the people of New York. Well, fast forward 150 years later, and guess what? 9/11. And the people of Charleston raised $500,000 and bought the people of New York a fire truck to reciprocate. I'm going to give you two power tips about reciprocation that I learned from Bob Cialdini. So, let's say that I have been defaulting to yes. You will be my assistant, okay? So, I've been defaulting to yes. I've been thinking like a baker, not an eater. I've been helping you. So I help you, and then you thank me. Okay? So now, what is the optimal response to her thanking me? It's not you're welcome. It is I know you would do the same for me. I know you would do the same for me. I'm telling her she has class, that she's a good person. I know you would do the same for me. I'm also telling her, I know you will do the same for me. To put her on notice. Don't do this every time somebody thanks you. But that's the optimal response. I know you will do the same for me. Second power tip about reciprocation is enable her to pay me back. See, I default to yes. I'm trying to help people. I'm a baker. I'm not an eater. I would be happy to do more for her, but she doesn't want to ask because she already owes me something. And so she's hesitant. Our relationship is stuck. I'm willing to help. She doesn't want to ask. We need to clear the decks. How do we clear the decks? I give her an opportunity to pay me back. She pays me back. Clear the decks, she can ask me to do more stuff, I can do more stuff. Our relationship is stronger and stronger. You are doing people a favor by enabling them to pay you back. Don't be afraid of invoking reciprocation. And don't rely on money. Listen, I have nothing against money. But if money is the key to the enchantment that you're trying to foster, something is wrong. You're not likable enough or trustworthy enough, or your product is not great enough, because it should not come down to money. The seventh thing is that great enchanters are great presenters. Some tips for you. First, customize the introduction. It could be orally, or it could be in pictures. Show that you know where you are, who you're talking to. This is a picture of my LG washer and dryer. I was in Latin America speaking to the LG management of Latin America. After I got to Brazil, I figured out that I was speaking to LG and I had an LG washer and dryer. Stupid me. If I had planned it better, I would have taken a picture of my LG washer and dryer prior to getting to Brazil. And I could open up my speech to LG with an LG washer and dryer picture from my house. But I was already in Brazil. So I sent a text message to my two older boys, the same two older boys that I don't want driving my Mustang. I tried to invoke a little reciprocation. I told them, go downstairs, get off Call of Duty, get off Halo for a second, take the iPhone 4 that I bought each of you, go downstairs and take a picture of the washer and dryer. I need it right away. I'm about to speak. Invoking some reciprocation, right? Enabling them to pay me back. Okay, so I wait 15 minutes and nothing happens. What a surprise. So I send a follow-up text message to my older son. Nick, did you get my earlier text messages? Nick responds to his father. Noah, his younger brother, the 60-year-old, said he did the pictures. Since you're talking to LG, by the way, can you get us some tea? Because Halo and Call of Duty is just not optimal unless you're on a 60-inch LCD HD TV. You see my response? I doubt it. Because there's reciprocation and there is stupidity. Now, I travel all over the world making speeches, and when I do, I try to visit the city prior to the speech, take pictures, and then open up my speeches with pictures. Like, when I was in Moscow, I opened up with this picture. Russians really have big balls. When I was in Edinburgh, I visited Crombie's, where I learned about this Scottish delicacy called haggis, which there are some foods that taste the way they sound. And then this is my favorite picture to explain this concept. This is me in the Mall of Malls, the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul. And I met the shopkeeper, and I'm trying on fizzes. That is what you call a Duchenne smile. Look at the smile on that shopkeeper's face. You know what he's thinking? He's thinking, this dumbass American is going to buy this fizz. This freaking fizz has been in my family shop for 3 generations. Finally, I found someone stupid enough in America to buy this fizz. I bring happiness wherever I go. Next thing is to sell your dream when you make a presentation. When Steve Jobs introduces an iPhone, he does not stand up and say, I have an iPhone here, the iPhone 4X. It's $188 worth of parts. We put these parts together in a factory in China where they have somewhat controversial working conditions. And we stick you with a 2-year data contract with AT&T. That's not how he positions an iPhone. He positions an iPhone as thin, cool, and beautiful, and productive. And there's an app for that. It'll make you sexy, make you creative, make you powerful. He sells his dream for the phone. Sell your dream for what you do. And the last thing is the 10-20-30 rule of Guy Kawasaki for PowerPoint. The optimal number of slides in a PowerPoint presentation is 10. You'll be lucky to get 10 ideas across. Some of you are very quantitatively oriented. You're thinking, God, you're such a hypocrite. You've used about 40 already. Why are you telling us to use 10? I'll tell you why. You are not me. 10 slides. 10 slides. We should be able to get these 10 slides in 20 minutes. You may have an hour, but let's face it, 95% of the world is using an operating system where it may take 40 minutes to make the laptop hook up with the printer. 10 slides, 20 minutes, and the optimal size font is 30 points. 30 points. If you use 8, 10, or 12, you're going to put too much text. You're going to read the text. The slides, it's going to be covered with text, and you're going to read it. And what? One slide into the presentation, the audience is going to say, this bozo is reading these slides verbatim. I can read silently to myself, actually, this bozo can read the slides to me. I'll just read ahead. If this rule is too dogmatic, I'll give you a rule of thumb. Figure out who the oldest person is in your audience. Divide his or her age by 2. 60-year-old divided by 2, 30. That's it, 30 points. Now, venture capitalists are getting younger, managers are getting younger, partners are getting younger. Someday you may be pitching to a 16-year-old venture capitalist. God bless you. Use the 8-point font. Until that day, 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30-point font. Number 8, we are at a great time to use technology to enchant you. Because frankly, Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus are fast, free, and ubiquitous. The trifecta, the holy grail of marketing. Fast, free, ubiquitous. It does not get better than that. But you know what? The first thing you have to do is remove the speed bumps. This is an example of a speed bump. This is CAPTCHA. The purpose of CAPTCHA, as we all know, is to reduce the number of customers you have. So what we're trying to do here is to prove we're not a robot or a machine. So we have to type in the word holder. No problem. The second word is a problem. How many of you know what language that is? Okay, so what? One of you, raise your hands. How many of you know? Okay, so like 10 of you know what language that is. Okay, of you 10, how many of you have a Hebrew keyboard? So what? So out of 1,500 people, one person could complete this CAPTCHA. One. And then I'll tell you the irony of irony. It's not that I planned this. That is the Hebrew word for obstacle. I'll show you a speed bump removed. This is a company called Sanjeri. Sanjeri is in the business of installing solar panels on people's homes. One of the speed bumps in the solar panel installation process is the very first step. Getting the company to come to your house to get an estimate. To be home and to measure stuff, pain in the ass. So generally, all they do is ask you for your home address. Then they use a satellite photo. They figure out which way is southeast. They mock up the panel on your roof. They tell you how much that panel can produce, how much it will cost, removing the speed bump. Next thing is, in social media, if you want to be successful, you have to provide value. Not that your cat rolled over. Not that the line at Starbucks is long. You have to provide value. In and out. Day in, day out. Information, what just happened. Insights, what does it mean that this just happened. Finally, assistance. How to avoid the bad thing, how to make a good thing happen. Provide value. The next thing is the rules of engagement. You have to engage fast. I think the half-life of a tweet or a Facebook update or a Google Plus post, 2 hours maybe. You know, you have to get on those things fast. You have to do work in a flat manner. Lonely Boy 15 with 15 followers writes to you, you have to answer it. You understand you have to answer the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and all these people in the first 6 rows, you know, the first 3 rows with laptops or bloggers. You understand they're powerful, they're successful, they could make or break you, maybe. But Lonely Boy 15, respond to Lonely Boy 15, marketing 2.0, the world is flat. The last thing is you have to do this all the time, not just when everything else is done. The ninth thing is how to enchant your boss. Very simple. When your boss asks you to do something, drop everything else. Just drop everything. It might not be optimal. It might not even seem fair. Life is tough. You want to impress your boss, you want to enchant your boss, drop everything. Men, I also give you a little piece of advice, because many of you travel on Valentine's Day to get here. When your wife asks you to do something, drop everything and do it. Don't explain to her why it's not as important as what you're currently doing. Don't explain why it's not optimal. Just shut up, drop everything, do what she asks. You will be a much more enchanting husband. Next thing is prototype fast. Your boss asks you to make a PowerPoint presentation for her. Do it in the next few hours. At least show it with just a text. Am I on the right track? 2 very good impacts of this. First, it shows that you did drop everything. Second, because you have jumped on it, you have much more time to revise it, increasing the probability that it will be good. And the third thing to enchant your boss is always deliver bad news early, which is to say that the expectation that you tell people, your boss, bad news right before the bad news is about to hit, because the miracle will then occur, is flawed. That very seldom occurs. Deliver bad news early because it gives you more chance to fix the bad news. The 10th thing is how to enchant people who work for you. I love the work of Daniel Pink. In a book called Drive, he suggested that besides reasonable compensation, you need to provide a map, M-A-P. The first step in a map is mastery. That is, if you come work for me, you will master your skills. You will become a better employee. You'll be working autonomously, independently. We're not going to micromanage how you work here. And P, towards a higher purpose. Come work for me, and you will master your skills, working autonomously towards a higher purpose. That's 80% of how you enchant people who work for you. You also empower people. You tell people, I think you're smart, you're making good decisions. I empower you to make the decision to take care of our customer. And finally, the last way to enchant people who work for you is to suck it up. How many of you watched my favorite show, Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe? That is a great show, very enchanting. What makes Mike Rowe so enchanting? It's because he's willing to do the dirty job. He'll get into the paint factory, the toy factory. He'll clean the outside of a building. He will go underneath the house and dig out the dead rats. He will clean out the sewer. He will perform artificial insemination on turkeys. He will do whatever it takes. You want to enchant your employees? Be like Mike Rowe. Be willing to do the dirty job. And don't ask people to do something that you yourself are not doing. So now, I'm running out of time. So I'm going to summarize for you very quickly. The 3 pillars of enchantment. The 3 pillars of likability, trustworthiness, and quality. Again, you want the likability of Richard Branson, getting down on his knees to polish my shoes so that I can fly on Virgin. You want the trustworthiness examples where millions of women will buy shoes without trying them on or seeing them. You want the quality of Apple, Macintosh, iPhone, iPod, iPad, beautiful, thin, elegant, dicey stuff. The three pillars of enchanting. If you master those three pillars, you'll be enchanting